So now we're back in Italy in Modena to be specific, with a Lambrusco. And if you ever watched Master of None, oh, actually, funny few couple things about Master of None. So he goes to Modena in the first season to learn to make pasta, but then also in one of the most recent seasons, or in the most recent season, when they're drinking wine, I don't know if you noticed, they're drinking a Varietal wine, and it's just been really funny to see the amount of traffic to our site because of like the blog, What is Varietal wine? Anyways, so small aside, Modena, really cool part of Italy. Lambrusco, sparkling red, if you didn't already know that. And I love having sparkling reds, especially in the warmer months, because sometimes you really want red wine, but it's too hot. And there's obviously just regular fillable reds, but a lot of times I like the addition of the bubbles. I think it's really fun. And I think that ultimately we're seeing trends towards not just Lambrusco, but other regions starting to do sparkling red wines as well. And I am here for it. I think that it brings something so different to the wines. And yeah, with that, I would say that overall, before we start, this wine is a good example of what a traditional Lambrusco tastes like. This is not some crazy funky version, though if you just generally don't know what Lambrusco is or haven't really had it before, it generally could just seem like a fun, funky, different type of wine because it is in a class all of its own. So a little backstory, secondary backstory. Lambrusco used to get a bad rep because almost in the same way that like, what's it called? Like white Zinfandel has a bad rep of like just being like cheap, sweet wine. And Lambrusco kind of had that rep for a while. And they still have it a little bit, but like even in like the conventional wine world, it's definitely going away. People are getting more serious about Lambrusco there. It's not just cheap, sparkling, sweet wines. It's actually very rarely, or more rarely, sweet now. And this one I would not say is sweet. So yeah, let's start from that. Deep, deep, dark color. Not what you expect when you think about sparkling wine, but this one is sparkling. I could have put it in a flute, though I really never, very rarely ever put a Lambrusco in a flute. But you know, you do you. If you like your sparklings with more bubbles the whole time, the flute's going to help with that. So on the nose, deep. It's so funny. If I didn't know that this was a sparkling wine and that it was super chilled, I would expect this to be like a serious deep wine at first sniff. It's like a very rich plum that's like very juicy on the top, and then down here it's got more of like this vibrant, ripe cherry, of course, but there's something else there. It's like violets, like subdued violets, or which is weird. Normally I get flowers on the top, but that's so like overtaken by like plum for me, or like a juicy something. It's like, I think if it wasn't chilled, I would probably be getting more like leathery notes or something, or like this like funny meatiness to it, which seems very bizarre, but I think that's what it is. So y'all can tell me what you're getting as well. Then on the palate, first, lovely froth. Then after that, it's like the deep dark fruit notes. And then it kind of lightens up towards the end with, I guess, like a zippy tart cherry. More tart than ripe, I think, on the palate. And honestly, I would say it does have the teensiest hint of residual sugar. Not in a way that I think is bad or that you're going to be like, ooh, this wine is sweet. This wine is not sweet. But there is this teensy bit of residual sugar, and all wines have residual sugar. It's just whether it's detectable or not. And I think that is going to be really nice for pairing this wine, actually. So I have had to open this bottle, though it could last a day or two, but I will be having it with pizza tonight. Boom. Do you want to have pizza? Lambrusco. Great. It's really made for, I would say, like less serious foods. Again, like my drunk foods, your French fries, your fish and chips, stuff that a lot of times I feel like you might drink beer with. A lot of times, like if you're like, oh, even like a burger or whatever, like, oh, like I don't know if I want to have wine with that. I want to have beer, or I would have beer. A lot of times I'll reach for like a Lambrusco because I always gravitate to wine normally over beer. But there are certain things like an IPA and a burger are just like perfect together. This is not as perfect as an IPA with a beer, or IPA with a burger, but you know, if you don't like IPAs, then that doesn't matter if it's the perfect pairing because you don't really like that at all. So then you can gravitate to a Lambrusco. So overall, fun, fresh, simple, chill the crap out of it. Have it with something that's like, you know, as not serious as the wine is, and just enjoy it. Yeah, and have it outside. And be prepared because it's going to stain the crap out of your mouth as well. You're like, I'm only having a little bit right now, but if I had started with this one at the beginning of the videos, my tongue, even a little bit, it's already like, I've had 2 sips and it's already getting dark. So prepare for that as well. Enjoy.